That is the chapter wherein he said, I and my Father are one. He had just gotten through in the previous, the 8th chapter, by saying, I know my Father. My Father is he whom you call God. But I know my Father, and ye know not your God. And for this, they stoned him. Stoned him with the literal facts of life. That's the stone of Scripture. When you throw the facts at a man, when the man dares to assume what reason denies, what his senses deny, then you who will not go along with his depth, you throw the stones or the facts of life at him to deny the reality of what he is claiming by a mere imaginal act. And so he has just gotten through making these bold assertions that I and my Father are one, and my Father is he whom you call God, but I know my Father, and ye know not your God. And so, this story, he said, I didn't understand you, and then I began to fear a form of madness, because I could understand you. For this is, it takes you into an entire different world, for a reason on this surface of the mind doesn't really prevail. That you really believe in the reality of what inwardly you are doing. And then it comes to the surface. If you don't tell it before and you tell it afterwards, they will question your honesty. If you take them into your confidence and tell it before, if you have enough faith, go about your business. If you don't, they will plague you and throw the stones at you. And every time they meet you, they say, well, where is it? You said you're going to have a certain home, a certain job, a certain sum of money. Where is it? And so they are always throwing the stones at you, or the facts of life. Now here is something, and you listen to it carefully. It's a long letter, and he's bringing out certain points that might have escaped you. For here what we are trying to do is to find out all the little facets of the greatest secret in the world, the secret of imagining. For as Fawcett said, the secret of imagining is the greatest of all problems, to the solution of which all should aspire. For supreme power, supreme wisdom, and supreme delight lie in the solution of this far-off problem, this great mystery, and he has thrown some light on it. So, if I can recall, it's a long letter, typewritten, 4 pages, but I will give you some of the highlights of it. So when I met my producer 3 years ago, he was a very subdued and reserved sort of a gentleman. Reserved, he said, would be the right word to use to describe him. Very reserved. So unlike the volatile enthusiast with whom I formerly worked. He was very reserved. In fact, pardon me, he couldn't express the superlative in any way. In fact, his greatest praise was the word good. So you brought in the script, and he would accept the script, and his highest praise was good. Well, I thought, I'm going to change this. So I lay on the bed, and I heard him say to me, great, just great. Now, I hadn't started the script, I had just given him a script, and he pronounced the script good. I am now doing this about the next script, and I heard him distinctly. I went over and over in my audio setup, as it were. So I heard him inwardly pronounce the new script as great, just great. And while I am lying there, the phone rings. I haven't started the script. The phone is ringing. It's the producer. And he is telling me that the script that he had formerly pronounced good was great, just great. Well, I said he threw me a curve. Because that's not what I was expecting. It was about the new script, which I hadn't even started. So he not only threw me this curve, but someone had their lines crossed. So, right there, I kept on now working a new, I would say, line for him to use. And I changed it from great, just great, to terrific. And so here I am. I only heard one word. It is terrific. Well, I submitted the script, and that's exactly the word he used when he said to me, it's terrific. and with the same enthusiasm that matched my imagining. Now, I said to myself, 2 months later, every script I presented within 2 months, it was either great, just great, or terrific. It didn't go back to good anymore. So I said, no, I'm going to experiment again. So this time, I'm going to make him say, absolutely sensational. So I heard him say, absolutely sensational. Then he said to me, what the hell? If you're praising yourself, why not get the best? So I am doing it to myself anyway, so why be modest about it? I am doing the whole thing because he's only echoing it. So I said, absolutely sensational. So I finished the script, took the script into him, and he pronounced it good. He said, I almost fell out of the chair. It was not the role that I had written for him. And he said, you know how authors hate ad-libbing. You know what that means in the theatrical world. When the author writes a play and some actor thinks he knows more than the author, and he changes the script and he ad-libs, or maybe he forgets his lines, and if he's smart enough, he can throw a few words in and he ad-libs. But no matter how smart he thinks he is, he doesn't flatter the author. The author feels he knows better than any actor what should be there at that moment. And so, he said in his letter, you know how authors hate ad-libbing. So what could I do? The script had to be cut. So he gave me the script to cut a certain portion of it. I took the script home, did all the cutting, and then mailed it to him, and I mailed it as a petulant child. I didn't even revise what he had said. But the very next day, he calls, and he said to me on the wire, it's absolutely sensational. Now, this is the point I want you to pay strict attention to. He said, you know, my experience with the producer disturbed me, greatly disturbed me. To hear or to occasionally think about this isn't so bad. By that he meant you hear that all that you behold, though it appears without, it is within, in your imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. Well, to hear that and to occasionally think about it isn't too bad. But when it seeps in and takes hold of you and goes deeper and you realize that it's true, that producer who is so important in the production of this great series, who is spending such fortunes, he has it to spend, that is, he allows it, he knows what he's doing, he's been successful, he's been running 3 years, and yet he had to actually utter the word that this writer is writing for him. And when he met him, he was so reserved, he never used any superlatives and could never bring himself to praise a thing beyond the word good. And he raised him from good to great, just great, terrific, absolutely sensational. That's an enormous accomplishment in anyone's vocabulary when he began as a most reserved party. So when the individual writer now sees what he did with a man, he said, you know, it distressed me. It distressed me for the simple reason I had to remake my world only as I remake myself. Only as I could remake myself could I in any way remake the world. And what an undertaking. But he said, I found a solution. I will not now think of myself X number of years into the future. I am painting a portrait of myself. And portraits are not painted by one stroke with a brush. And so I am taking it easily. And I start with the little things in my life, the little things, and I change them to make them conform to the portrait of the being I am painting of myself.